All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday Tastealong here on Drums and Drams. We got a fun whiskey-filled evening planned for tonight. All right, so this is going to be a good time. I'm really excited about this. We've got 4 bottles, which is hopefully the most that I ever choose to do for one of these Tuesday Tastealongs, just for my own sake, you know. Thursday night live streams are crazy enough. 4 bottles on a Tuesday in 45 minutes tonight is what we're doing. Little much, but we're going to see how it goes. See if this format works with this many bottles. And if it doesn't, I promise I'll never do it again. So that's what we're going to get up to here. I just walked in the door. Had to run over to the university, teach a lesson real quick. And I just got back in here. What am I missing here? I think I'm missing one light. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me like 30 seconds. Got to get the lighting right. Small difference, but an important difference. All right, let's get into it here. Let me know if you're hanging out in the chat. Let me know what you're sipping on. If you do have, yeah, Top Dog, please hold. If you do have any of these Jim Beam bottles that you're going to be sipping along with me tonight, let me know. Let's do the rundown real quick of what it is that we're going to be getting into, and then we're going to get off to the races because we have a lot to cover. We got to get off here by 9 o'clock. I want to be respectful of the junkies, although it's not even an issue of respect because at 9 o'clock you're just going to go see the junkies. That's how this works. Their crowds on these live streams are insane, you know, with the channel growing, with everything they're doing. Really cool to see all that happening. So anyways, let's get into it here. I'll do a quick little zoom. Boom. So it's a little bit bright. That's okay. I'm not going to change the settings on the camera. So we're going to start with the Jim Beam White Label. That's going to be our first bottle that we get into. What are we going to move to after that? We're going to go White Label. Then we're going to go to Black Label, which is the Black Extra Aged. All right. Then after that, I want to get into the Double Oaked. All right. With this kind of like dark bluish label. And finally, we will round things out with the Devil's Cut. All right. So I guess we're in reverse order here, but how we're going to be doing it. So if you have any of these at any point, have a pour, drink it along with me. Let's see what we get on these Jim Beam bottles. And it's also worth pointing out, I have never tasted any of these Jim Beam bottles for whatever reason. I just never, when I was getting into whiskey, I never really started with any of the opening or what would you call it, like entry-level Beam products. It was just not my thing. I went Jack Daniels to Woodford to Buffalo Trace, and I kind of skipped over all of these. So when I was out today, I picked all of these up. It's the first time I've ever owned any of them. The first time I've sipped any of them except, I think, the Black Label last night at a friend's house. I had a little taste of the Black Label, all right? But not in this context. It was amongst like Russell's 13 and other whiskeys, so not really a fair fight on that one. So let's get into this here. It's going to be my first pours of whiskey for the evening. This Black Label does not want to cooperate here, but we're going to make it. At least I hope we're going to make it. All right. What are you guys sipping on right now? If not Jim Beam, what is in your glass? I'm having a hell of a time with this. I might have to go get some scissors or something. I guess we're just going to tear the entire neck label off of this Jim Beam Black. Look at that. Look at how that came off. How wacky is that? Everything came off except for what I needed to come off. All right, and the final one is the White Label. So that's an easy screw top. All right, so let's have a pour of this. I'm going to go ahead and pour all 4 of these out so that I've got them ready to go. They're going to get a little air because these are fresh cracks. We'll talk ABV on each of these bottles as we get into them. What is up, JG? Good to see you, my man. Okay. So I'm going to put the bottles behind their respective glasses, and I'm going to go left to right for you guys so that you can see them in the order that we're going to be sipping this evening. Listen to those cork pops, says Top Dog. No cork pops here. And you know what? I love screw top whiskey. That's right up my alley. Especially like the old Weller stuff with those plastic screw tops. Yeah, that's my jam. Okay. So there we have our order all set up. It's time to get into some Jim Beam $20 to $25 goodness here. Let's check out this white label. Hank Williams Jr., I see you're hanging out in here too. Jake McKee says, I only have one Jim Beam product, single barrel 108 proof. Yeah, I didn't grab... Are they still making that single barrel? Where I was today, I just saw these on the shelf and I was like, you know what? Let's buy them all. Let's do it for the taste along. Andrew Kelly, what's up? 3-chord whiskey weekend non-Tennessee blend in the glass. All right, so that's the one that Dixon did not do. It's the other blend, the winning blend, I think, right? All right, Jim Beam white label, 40% ABV, 80 proof. It is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and it states aged 4 years on the label. So there we go. Let's check it out. All right, so the first impression on this was that it was watery. Obviously, you would expect that, 40%. It was watery, but also sharp. Sharp in like a brown sugar, like pie crust kind of sharp, if that makes sense. But when you leave your nose in the glass 10 more seconds, you actually start to get a little bit of like a brown butter, almost oakiness in here, even for 4 years old. Yeah, this is one that you kind of have to spend a second with to appreciate. If you just smell this and we're like, I don't know about that, I think there might be a redeeming quality to this on the nose. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Jim Beam white label is, anything to write home about, but we want to give these things, a fair shake. Yeah. My screens are freaking out a little bit here. Like my HDMI connection seems like it's kind of wonky. I don't know. So if you guys see anything weird happen, I do apologize. All right, let's check out white label on the palate. Let me know if you guys are sipping or smelling white label along with me. Very curious what you guys think of it. We're going to just pause the stream. Holy shit, Paul Graham. Dude, you're incredible. $100 super chat. $100 super chat. And we're drinking the highest quality Jim Beam products on the market. Paul, thank you so much. This is a good time to let you know that your samples did go out. I got your new address. Everything all squared away. Your sample win from last week's live stream. Those did go out in the mail today. And I believe FedEx Express 3-day turnaround time. So I think you should have them by the end of the week, just so you know. Yeah, Paul dropping some freaking bombs right now, dude. Thank you so much, Paul. Wow. Yeah, all right. So I'm gonna leave the Jim Beam white label. We will come back to this and use this as a reference point. And this is one thing that I think is really neat about a lot of kinds of whiskey, in particular a flight like this. And also it's related to some different scotches. Let's say, for instance, Glenmorangie. They have a 10-year, which is the base product. And then they have the 12-year sherry finish, the 14-year port finish, the 12-year Sauterne finish. And so what's cool about that is that you can taste what the original is, and then you can taste the offshoots of the original. In the same way, this is a great chance to do that with bourbon, right? We have the white label, which is kind of the original in the lineup. Then we get the extra aged, that they call it, with a little bit more ABV. We get the double oaked with that same slight ABV bump. And then we also get the devil's cut. And always going to use, this white label as a reference point in the flight. I think that's a really cool thing with stuff like this. Yeah, very much corn forward on the palate. A little bit of a lemon oil kind of thing going on the palate too. And when I come back to the nose now, a little bit of vanilla sweetness. So really, after the first sip of Jim Beam White Label, I think it develops well in some ways, additional vanilla, but in other ways, you get more corn, right? So that's kind of that's kind of the bar we're setting. Paul says, I don't want them. Top Dog says, you should mail Paul all 4 bottles. Yeah, Paul basically just paid for this Tuesday Tastealong, so thank you, Paul. Blackstar says, Bonded is better than those 4. Yeah, there's only so many I can do in a flight here. This is what I found on the shelf today that I picked up, and they're all relatively close with ABV, so I thought it would be a good flight. Bonded would certainly stand out here. None of these are above 90 proof. What's up, Tom Snyder? Thanks for jumping in, man. All right, let's move on to the Jim Beam Black Double Age. We're moving from 40% ABV now up to 43%. So this is 86 proof. Let's see what we get on the label here. Yeah, we got some bourbon trophies. By giving our classic Jim Beam Black the important added ingredient of time and our charred white oak barrels, we discovered the smooth caramel and warm oak notes of this premium extra aged bourbon, a full-bodied character that's definitely worth the wait. I wonder how long that wait actually is. It's not really letting me know, but that's okay. All right, let's see how this compares. Oh, huge step up on the nose immediately. Oh, yeah. There's actually like a denseness. There's an actual, what do I want to say? Like a readable viscosity or more of a full-bodied kind of profile on the nose when you smell it, and it's only 3% ABV higher. Yeah, and you actually start to get a leather note on the black label here. So that white label is absent completely of that leather note, and that's kind of what makes this black label stand out for me first and foremost. Cool. That's a solid step up, and I think it's only a few dollars more. I think it's like maybe going from $19 to $23 or something like that. Oh, wow. That is remarkably better. Crazy what $5 will get you between these two. Now, one thing to keep in mind as I go through this flight is that I'm not comparing this to an outside control, meaning I'm not throwing like an Eagle Rare in here, an Elijah Craig, not throwing anything like that. This is purely Jim Beam. And if I did have a control, I might say, oh, all of these bottles suck. You should go get an Elijah Craig small batch or something. I don't know. But I'm only going to be comparing it to the bottles in the lineup because I think that's the most fair, at least for our purposes here for this taste along. Let's check the chat out here. John says, love this taste along idea. We need to get a benchmark line taste along in here. I did that benchmark video like last year. It's been definitely over a year ago. Kind of a silly, goofy video I did. I was dressed up in my tux. Yeah, I would love to redo that benchmark tasting and get some current bottlings of that. I have the foolproof and the bonded behind me. I would need the other 3. Yeah, I think that's a good idea to do some benchmark taste alongs in here. I don't know about doing all 5 of them, though. That might be a little much. Let's see what else we got. Oh, Horses and Bourbon is in the chat. I'm trying to figure out if I like the Lumberyard. This is the Booker's batch. Thankfully found it for SRP. That's good. Yeah, it's kind of funny how you can really, really taste the similarity in the white label to the Lumberyard batch, at least in my mind. Paul Graham says, I bought the black extra age today for this, which is the one I just sipped on. I can think of 20 better bottles for the same price. Let's see, Paul. Well, I'm going to see how it compares to the rest of these. But what I do like compared to the white label is that additional leather note. I think that really makes the black stand out here. Okay. 21090, good to see you. Cheech, who else do we got? Andrew, okay, let's see. I believe the Black Label used to have an 8-year age statement, so it's probably still close-ish. Okay, that's good to know. I did not know that it used to have an age statement. Yeah. Definitely got the nuttiness, but I do like the additional leather note, and there's just something more full-bodied about it. I don't know if it's char or dark chocolate, but something just a little bit on the back end of things that makes it feel a little more full on the palate. Roy says, got to go with Booker's. Hey, that's okay. That's okay, Roy. Jeb, that's hilarious. Yeah, maybe we can work that out. All right. Now, this is one that I'm maybe most excited about in the lineup, which is the third one we're going to taste here. And then I'm going to go back and forth and do some comparisons once I get to the end of these 4 pours. But this is the double oaked. All right. So let's get the focus going here. It says twice barreled on the front, expertly aged, and then matured in a second oak barrel. All right. So let's see what we say here on the side label. It says twice barreled in the heart of Kentucky. Jim Beam Double Oak is made for those who take their whiskey seriously. Okay. Let's see if we take our whiskey seriously. Cool. Let's get into it. I can't say that that's what I was expecting from a double oak Jim Beam. Huh. Still 43% ABV, just like the Black Label. Let me put this next to the Black Label really quickly. Wow. I am pleasantly surprised by this double oaked. Wow. Top Dog says, to go along with the twist top theme, go with the benchmark lineup. Yeah. Unfortunately, if I go with the Weller lineup, well, I guess only one of those has twist tops. No, 2. I guess Weller 12 still has a twist top, which is hilarious. But Special Reserve and 12 have those. Not going to do those probably. People would throw things at me if I even put Special Reserve on here. Joe says, I've been wanting to try the double oaked. I can't wait to test this on the palate right now. I'm intrigued. Maybe Sagamore Tastealong. Hey, Cam, what is up? Matt Porter. Good to see you, man. All right. So what I'm getting on this double oaked is not what I expected. What I thought I would get on this is like too much spiciness, too much of that lumberyard, raw wood, spicy pie crust kind of thing. Like who did this? Mash and Journey. They did a down home pick, which was, I believe, nearly 9-year Jim Beam, which was double oaked. I don't know what it was bottled at, maybe 120 proof or something like that. The issue for me with that bottle was that it had that really, really bright, spicy, raw woodiness to it. I tend to get that on some Penelope Toasteds, some Nulu Toasteds, stuff like that. Basically, it just, I want more sweetness from a toasted barrel. This Beam double oaked has that sweetness. The toast on here reminds me more of like a 1910 profile toast. I'm not saying it tastes like Old Forester, but that it sweetens it up. It definitely adds oak, it adds char, but it sweetens the whole thing up, and it's not bright and spicy on the oak finish. Yeah, I kind of like that. The black has more rough edges. I do like the leather on the black. It feels a little more unrefined. The double oaked, it's very round on the nose. Wow. Wow. That bottle kind of does it all. Super sweet. And to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the Jim Beam profile until it gets to a certain age, like 10, 12 years old. We're talking Knob Creek stuff. This bottle kind of does it all. Really sweet on the front of the palate. Then there's a nice spiciness that develops, kind of carries it into the finish. Yeah, I'm impressed. Spicy. And Inbred says, what's wrong with being spicy? If you're going to be spicy, you got to be a little sweet too. All right. So Roy says, crazy double oak Jim Beam was my very first whiskey ever and remember hating it, but I'm sure decades later it must be better. That's hilarious. Yeah. I am going to do some side-by-sides. I want to get through the full lineup first and kind of get initial impressions before I do that. So that double oaked, I think so far is probably my favorite. Okay, so the last thing we have here is the Devil's Cut. And this says that it is made with bourbon extracted from the barrel walls. Sounds a little gimmicky to me. This is what we got on the label. I've always liked the label to Devil's Cut. It kind of catches your eye on the shelf. Got that wooden background. All right. Let's read the side label very quickly. It says, extra aged in the heart of Kentucky, Jim Beam Devil's Cut is made for those who take their whiskey seriously. Okay, same thing that the Double Oak said. While bourbon ages and the angel's share evaporates, some also remains trapped inside the barrel. This is the Devil's Cut. We extract this dark and intense liquid from our charred white oak barrel walls and blend it with extra aged bourbon. So that would be their black label, I guess. So there we go. It says it's distinctly bold, full of rich, intense flavors. I'll get a little more on the glass here. All right, let's see. Scrape the sludge, says Jay. Yeah. Huh. J Max, still need to try the Sagamore Double Oaked. Hard to get away from the three Sagamigos. That's the Mash and Journey pick. We'll be sad when that bottle's gone. Yeah, for sure. I think that pick to me had a lot of. It was very dense. That Sagamore. I have another Sagamore pick from someone else that I like a little bit better because it's a little. I don't want to say lighter. It just feels more balanced to me. Like this Three Sagamigos is just intense. A lot of people like that. I like intense whiskey too. But comparing different Sagamore picks is kind of a cool thing because you do get a pretty wide range of profiles, even amongst fairly similar, rye whiskeys that they've got there sourced from MGP. Devil's Cut is heavy caramel. Is pretty one note, but I like it. Okay, Mark is in the house. Paul P. and Wigmaster I'm reading right now. Yeah, let's get into this Devil's Cut in earnest. Yeah, it's definitely the woodiest, I think, of the bunch. And I mean that in sort of a raw wood kind of way that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, this is the darker, heavier, spicier, woodier of the bunch, I think. And we do get slightly more ABV here. This is 90 proof. All right, so we had 90, 86, 86, 80. I'm going to taste it now. Wow. Wow, that is spicy. That is like nutmeg and cinnamon city. What does it remind me of? It's almost like pecan pie. It's a little like, it might not be quite the right thing, but it's got that really sticky kind of filling note that you would get in a pecan pie, the pie crust vibes. Yeah, I think Wigmaster, you're right. I think this Devil's Cut is heavy caramel, but super spicy, super woody. If I didn't know any better and I tasted these, I would probably think that this is the double oaked finish. The double oaked here is so sweet and balanced. I would probably assume in a blind that the Devil's Cut is the double oaked. So with that said, off of first impressions here, before we do some comparisons, if you're the kind of person that likes that really spicy profile on a double oaked whiskey, don't get the double oaked. Get the Devil's Cut. If you're somebody that's looking for a budget bottle that's very well balanced, spicy, sweet, that kind of thing, double oaked, right? These maybe have their time and place. I got to figure out now amongst the lineup how these all four kind of stack up, in particular the white and the black label. But for similar price points, you know, I'm gonna treat these like they're all essentially the same price, because having just picked them up, the whole lot of these was $90 or 91, something like that. The average price, you know, between these three is like $22, $22.50, something like that. So if it's 18 or 25, we're going to treat it like it's the same price. If you're trying to save $5 on your whiskey, you know, you eventually got to pay some money for some whiskey is what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's do a comparison here between the white label and the double oaked, because I think, strangely enough, these are more similar than the black and the double oaked, or the devil's cut and the double oaked. So here's the white label. Yeah, when you come back to this now, after tasting the others, it just smells like watered down whiskey. I was not getting this note before. Now I'm getting like a cigarette ash note in this. Totally not something I ever would have picked up in this until I tasted all of these in a row. Yeah. The white label's fine. Yeah, it's just pretty unoffensive. Or sort of offensive in a different way, though. And now on to the double oaked. This double oak is amazing. For the price that it is, the fact that it's, I believe, pretty widely available. Wow, it's like sticky, like, I don't know, like Cinnabon almost. It's super sweet. This might be my favorite of the flight. Wow. That's really good. To me, that is like a Cinnabon. Mark says, this is interesting. I've only had the white and black label. Mark, I'm telling you, I don't care which one you preferred. I'm just already right now going to recommend that if you guys are looking for a budget pour, you know, you're not expecting it to be earth-shattering or whatever, check out this Jim Beam Double Oaked. Very, very cool. Yeah, Roy, again, like, it was just kind of this fleeting thing going on here. When I come back to it after these other ones, which are obviously more full-bodied, you go back to the white. Yes, it's watery, but there was just kind of like this industrial thing going on in it. Like cigarette ash. I did smell that. But now it's almost just a little bit like tire rubber, you know? It's weird. I think when you water whiskey down to a certain point, you get into some strange notes. All right. Paul says, if I was on a deserted island and this washed up, I'd be happy it wasn't vodka, and I'd probably drink half the bottle in 5 minutes. I think you're talking about that black label you snagged, right, Paul? All right, Joe. By the way, Joe, I cannot wait to try your samples on Thursday night. I spent the best 4.5 years of my life in college drinking Beam and Cokes out of a 1.75 before I went to the bars, so we could avoid paying $150 for Beam and Coke. Haven't had it since. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got the Old Granddad 114, of course, is a great value. Definitely a different profile for me. Kind of strange. All right, let's go black label now. I'm coming back to the fact that there's a leather note on the black label that I really like. That's what's kind of differentiating it from me. And I spill it down my face. Now, checking it out next to the double oaked. All right, I'm going to taste the black label again. Now to the double oaked. Wow. Wigmaster, did you see Shane Gillis yet? He's my favorite. Yeah, we saw him. I think it was September 1st when we saw him. Incredible show. Oh my God. I mean, you see Shane Gillis on all the podcasts. You see the special he released and everything. The stuff he was doing. It was at the Funny Bone here in Columbus, so small club, couple hundred seats. It was. I mean, he might be my favorite out there right now. Like Andrew Schultz, we saw him come through before he blew up, before he was doing theaters and stuff. Same with Mark Normand. We saw him when he had made his first appearance on Rogan. So, you know, I like Mark Normand. We've seen him twice here so far. He's still not doing like big theaters and stuff. Andrew Schultz, to me, kind of just got okay. Like, I don't know. Shane Gillis, to me, is like, he's my favorite out there probably right now that's not like in that super upper echelon. But yeah. Okay. Let's go Devil's Cut next to Black Label. So Black Label here. None of these are particularly fruity. And I think that's worth pointing out. Like the thing that a lot of these Jim Beams lack, the thing that I think Knob Creek 9 lacks, Booker's for the most part these days, you're not getting a lot of fruit notes on anything coming out of Beam. I think when you get to a certain age, like Knob 12, you start to get a red fruit note. The best versions of Knob Creek to me, like single barrel picks, have like a red fruit note to it. The best Booker's batches start to get into that dark fruit, purple, red fruit, those kinds of notes. And I think the difference, if you're thinking about Jack Daniels versus Jim Beam, which a lot of people make that comparison, a lot of casual whiskey folks, Jack Daniels, you're going to get that banana note. You're going to get that weird Lincoln County process thing that they have going on. Whereas with Jim Beam, you're going to get a spicier, more classic, more aggressive, caramelized, pie crust kind of flavor profile. Peanuts, obviously. Yeah. The Devil's Cut, you actually start to get into some ethanol. It's only 90 proof, but to me, this feels like it's more unrefined, as you would expect from something called Devil's Cut. You do start to get into that ethanol. It smells pretty young. It smells younger, maybe even than the Black Label. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the extra proof. All right. I'm going to taste the black and then go into the Devil's Cut. All right. Now over to this one. Wow, the Devil's Cut has like a chili pepper spice that just kind of tingles on the palate. You don't really get that with any of these other ones. Yeah, and a little bit of that white dog kind of profile in the Devil's Cut too. So, all right. I think we can kind of start wrapping this thing up here. So I want to just say before I do that, before you guys head over to the Junkies, I know it's 8:51. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Thanks for jumping in here. I know I got this thumbnail up a little bit late today, kind of like 5 p.m.-ish. So thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it. I think for me right now, the clear number one in this flight is going to be the Double Oaked. I would recommend to a lot of people to pick this thing up. Even new whiskey drinkers, it's a very approachable whiskey, 86 proof, great density for 86 proof. Very sweet, enough spice to back it up. My second favorite in this flight, I think it's going to be the Black Label. I actually think the Black Label to me beats out the Devil's Cut because, yeah, I just think the Devil's Cut tastes a little bit younger. And while there is more proof, it's maybe a bit more interesting for somebody who's like, who's into bourbon, who's training their palate, and they're looking for intense whiskey experiences. I mean, as intense as 90 proof is going to get. I still think the flavor benefits and that leather note in the Black Label to me outweigh the extra proof on the Devil's Cut. Then if you're going to go between Devil's Cut and White Label, I mean, come on. It's Devil's Cut, right? The White Label is just a little bit too watery. Definitely a mixer, an entry-level pour, that kind of thing. I'd be curious if any of you have tried any or all of these. Like, would you agree? I mean, I think this double oaked is a really good value. Like, I might do a video specifically on this whiskey after I've had a chance to compare it to some other similarly priced products like Elijah Craig Small Batch, some Evan Williams stuff. If it holds up, I would love to do a video on this thing and be able to recommend like a solid everyday sipper, 25-ish bucks, pretty available. Roy N, all right, peace out, man. Yeah, I've been in touch with Mike. I'm going to get him that sample soon as I can. I think I'm waiting on an email back from Mike right now. So last week didn't work out because Sarah's surgery. Wasn't able to link up with him then, but we'll get that worked out. Paul Graham says, tell us about The Who. Yeah, guys, I played, I wasn't playing like drum set with The Who, but they, The Who came through town on Sunday, the 9th. What's left of The Who, right? Pete Townsend and oh Jesus, why can't I think of the lead singer's name? Roger Daltrey, right? Why can't I think of the lead singer of The Who's name? Oh my God, is it Roger Daltrey? Yeah, Roger Daltrey. I don't know why that didn't sound right to me. They came through town and they hired out an orchestra to play with them on stage, and it was like, it's hilarious because the percussionists, like I was playing like cymbals and some different drums and tambourine and all that kind of stuff. It's like dead center in the back, like 20 feet from Pete Townsend. It's kind of crazy. Devil's Cut looks like a Fireball label. It really does. I've only had Devil's Cut. Recollection is sharp and simple. Yeah, sharp is a good way to describe it. Drinkable, not something I typically reach for. Yeah. This is Devil's Cut. This is double oak. It's not like the double oak is life changing, but as far as this lineup goes, it's kind of got a little bit of everything that these things do well. And what I like about it is that the palate experience is not entirely predicated on the spice. It's not like the whole thing is just spice from front to back. That's what drives it home. It actually has flavor from front to back. Yeah, it's a short finish. It's 86 proof, but the fact that there's enough flavor to go around as opposed to just alcohol. Yeah, so I'm going to recommend the double oak up front. Black Label next. Devil's Cut, take it or leave it. White Label, of course, take it or leave it. All right, so that's all I've got, guys. Thank you, Paul Graham, for the $100 super chat earlier. You're a freaking legend, dude. I appreciate that. To everybody else, thank you so much. Go check out 21090, the Bourbon Junkies, whoever you're going to watch at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night. I'm going to get off here. Let's see. Sorry, I got a text. Go check those guys out. I'm going to go shave my face, take a shower, and watch House of the Dragon with Sarah because we haven't watched it. New episode was on Sunday. We got to get to that. So see you guys Thursday night. I'm doing a blind flight. I'm going to taste a Barrel King sample from Joe in the chat. Joe also sent me a backbone pick that did really well for Fred Minnick in his Whiskeys of the Year, I believe. So I'm going to taste those two from Joe. I'm going to do a blind flight, figure out what else I'm going to do if there's going to be anything else. But that's it, guys. See you later. Check out this Jim Beam Double Oaked, especially at a bar if you get a chance to try it. Maybe you want to pick up this $25 bottle. All right. Peace out.